Jaya Radha Madhava. Sorry, someone can.
It's me. I'll mute myself in a minute.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janava Jaya Gopi Janava Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Chira Vanachari Yamuna Chira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 36. verses 17 to 19. Correct? Right, Nandi Bihari? 17 to 19? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I looked it up yesterday. Yes. Okay, great. Yashodaya sutam kanyam devakya krishnam evacha ramam charohini putram vasudevena bibyata nyastau svamitre nandevai yabhyam te purushahata. Translation and purport. Narada told Kamsa, Yashoda's child was actually a daughter, and Krishna is the son of Devaki. Also, Rama is the son of Rohini. Out of fear, Vasudeva entrusted Krishna and Balaram to his friend Nanda Maharaj, and it is these two boys who have killed your men. Purport. Kamsa had been led to believe that Krishna was the son of Yashoda and that Devaki's 8th child had been a daughter. The identity of Devaki's 8th child was extremely important to Kamsa because a prophecy had foretold that her 8th child would kill him. Here, Narada informs the king that the 8th child of Devaki was the formidable Krishna, thus implying that the prophecy should be taken very seriously. Having received this information, Kamsa obviously will now do everything in his power to kill Krishna and Balaram. Nisyamya tad bhojapati kopat prachali tendriya nishatam asim adata vasudeva jagamsaya. Upon hearing this, the master of the Bojas became furious and lost control of his senses. He picked up a sharp sword to kill Vasudeva. Nivarito naradena tatsutau mrityum atmana yatvaloha maye paser babhanda sahabaryaya. But Narada restrained Kamsa by reminding him that it was the two sons of Vasudeva who would cause his death. Kamsa then had Vasudeva and his wife shackled in iron chains. Purport. Kamsa realized that there was no use in killing Vasudeva, since it was Vasudeva's sons, Krishna and Balaram, who were to kill him. According to the Acharyas, Narada also advised Kamsa that if he killed Vasudeva, the two young boys might flee, and it was therefore better not to kill him. Rather, Narada recommended Kamsa should bring Krishna and Balaram to Kamsa's capital city, Mathura. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that Narada did not act inimically toward the great devotees, Vasudeva and Devaki, when he revealed this information to Kamsa. In fact, as explained in the 11th canto, Vasudeva was grateful to Narada because he was arranging for Kamsa's death at Krishna's hands, and further arranging for Krishna to come and live in Mathura, where his loving father could associate with him. Can please join me in praying to our Acharyas and Krishna. Om Agyanatimirandasya Janhanjana Chalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena bhutale swayam upagadambaya Jadishwa Purandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shira Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savrutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Shriapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Golangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Pre Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Srinivadi Vashachade Shatadine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sakhi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So what had happened right before, as you all know, this is happening, is the demon Aristasura had entered the Vrindavan village, sent by Kamsa, of course, to try and kill Krishna. And Krishna had beautifully and wonderfully killed him. And as it said in the purport from yesterday's verse, that is also how the beautiful Radhakund and Shamakund ended up being manifested by the Lord and the gopis. That story was in yesterday's purport. And after this incident, Narada comes to Kamsa to disclose the secret of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, he writes in the Krishna book that Narada Muni is generally known as Deva Darshana, which means that he can be seen only by demigods or persons on the same level with the demigods. So normally, we can't see Narada Muni, and there's that famous that would be the perfection of all of our lives. The one time, there's that famous story of, now I feel like I should start reciting prayers to Narada Muni. If you're here, we pay our obeisances to you. But there's that famous story of when Prabhupada, I forget if he was leading a kirtan. It was either he was leading a kirtan or leading a lecture, but then he started just like singing prayers, bhajans to Narada Muni. And afterwards, the devotees were like, Prabhupada, why did you do that? And Prabhupada goes, you did not see? Narada Muni was here. So Narada Muni has definitely been known to come to ISKCON functions. But Narada Muni visited Kamsa, who was obviously not at all on the level of the demigods. He was a horrible demon. But he allowed Kamsa to see him. And of course, Kamsa also saw Krishna, what to speak of Narada Muni. But Prabhupada makes the point in the Krishna book that unless one sees the Lord or his devotees with purified eyes, one cannot derive the actual benefit. Prabhupada continues, Of course, anyone who associates with a pure devotee derives imperceptible benefit, which is called agyata sukriti. One cannot understand how he is making progress, yet he makes progress by seeing the devotee of the Lord, which I found that sentence really beautiful, because sometimes, I don't know if anyone has had this experience. I think you have. I have definitely had this experience of, like, sometimes you kind of ask yourself, like, am I making spiritual advancement? Like, am I progressing? I think we all have moments. I definitely had a moment yesterday. I had a very bad day yesterday, and it was very bad. And I like had that moment of like really, like, am I just like making any spiritual advancement whatsoever? Because I was really seeing that I am not transcendental to my body, or my mind. But Prabhupada, he really is encouraging us that don't worry, we are making progress if we can just see the devotees of the Lord. So I read that and I was like, okay, yeah, I see the devotees of the Lord every day. So, okay, just keep associating with the devotees. So Narada Muni's mission was to finish things quickly. And Krishna appeared in order. So he wanted to speed up the process. And Narada Muni is like doing this all the time. As most of you all probably know, he always shows up like right at the crucial time to just like, shake things up and speed up the process of Krishna's pastimes. So we understand that Krishna appeared in order to kill the demons. And who's the chief demon? It's Kamsa. So Narada, he wanted to expedite things. So because he wanted to do that, he immediately approached Kamsa with all the real information. What did he tell him? You are to be killed by the eighth son of Vasudeva. That eighth son is actually Krishna. Surprise! You were misled by Vasudeva into believing that the eighth child of Vasudeva was a daughter, right? Because isn't that like, we heard the story of how Vasudeva, after Krishna appeared, and they prayed to him, and he was in his forearm formed of Vishnu, and then they asked him to please be like a baby, and he said, I've just taken this forearm form of Vishnu so that I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's been your son in your previous lives, who you did so many austerities and prayed for, to come. So just so you know that I'm that same Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then he took the form of Krishna, and then Vasudeva, we know that by Krishna's mystic potency, all of the shackles came off, all the doors opened, all the guards went to sleep, Vasudeva crossed the Yamuna River, and Krishna made all of that possible. Anantashesha was the umbrella over Vasudeva's head. He gets to go cool, he switches the children, and then he comes back, puts the shackles back on. Krishna sees the daughter. We know that whole story, right? So Narada, Kamsa really thought that child, that eighth child, was a daughter. And of course, we know that daughter, Yogamaya, when Kamsa tries to kill her, says, the child, this happens many times where Kamsa is called a fool. Kamsa, you are a fool. The child who will kill you has been born somewhere else. So Narada continues, well, that eighth son is actually Krishna. Actually, the daughter was born to Yashoda, the wife of Nanda Maharaj, and Vasudeva exchanged his son for the daughter. So you were misled. Krishna is the son of Vasudeva, which, by the way, Balaram is also the son of Vasudeva. And being afraid of your atrocious nature, Vasudeva has tactfully hidden them in Vrindavan out of your sight. And then Narada further informs Krishna, this is just like Kamsa, this is just like the cherry on top. Krishna and Balaram have been living incognito in the care of Nanda Maharaj. And all of the asuras, the demons, your companions who you sent to Vrindavan to kill different children, were killed by Krishna and Balaram. So they have been spoiling all of your plans. So as soon as this happens, Kamsa, he got this information from Narada Muni, and he took out his sharp sword and prepared to kill Vasudeva for his duplicity. And it says in the verse 18, I thought this was very beautiful, that the master of the Bojas became furious and lost control of his senses. He picked up a sharp sword to kill Vasudeva. So I was reflecting on that when I read that we do stupid things when we lose control of our senses. And it describes, I always talk about this, it describes that process in the Bhagavad Gita, that by contemplating the objects of the senses, one develops attachment for them. And when one has that attachment and then doesn't get what they want, they become angry. And then when you become angry, that leads to bewilderment of memory and illusion. So why is he furious, Kamsa? He is furious because he is afraid about his life. And he wants to kill all of his enemies and rule with no impediments. And due to that anger and those material desires, he lost control. Now, we might not be on, I don't think any of us are on the level of wanting to kill all of our enemies so that we can rule the world. But we can ask ourselves, what, like actually when we feel anger, and I'm really preaching to myself right now, when we feel anger, we can know I'm only feeling this anger because I have a material attachment. I have a material desire. And then we can backtrack to actually find out what that material desire is. And we can know that we are experiencing anger because that material desire is either not being fulfilled or is being threatened. And so then we can evaluate ourselves and pray to Krishna to take that material desire away. But then after he picked up the sword to kill Vasudeva, Narada is restraining him. He's reminding him, it's not Vasudeva who's going to cause your death. You don't need to be afraid of Vasudeva. It's his two sons that will cause your death. So then Kamsa had Vasudeva and his wife shackled in iron chains. But it says that Narada is also advising Kamsa because he's really always acting out of what is in his self-interest. So Narada is also convincing, and he's also very, if you haven't noticed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kamsa is so, what's a word? Influenceable by what people tell him. We've seen this over and over again, that he has one idea, or he feels some remorse and he feels some compassion, and he makes one decision, and then his demoniac ministers say, no, you have to do like this, and then he does like this. Like, he's just constantly actually influenced by the people around him who are giving advice. And in one sense, like when someone's mind is very weak because they're disturbed by all of these incessant material desires, they're not like firm in themselves, and they're just swayed by everyone around them. We can see that as we make spiritual advancement, we actually become stronger in our resolve of like knowing what's right. And someone could give us, someone who's not practicing Krishna consciousness could give us bad advice, and we have the intelligence to reject that advice and accept the good advice. However, we are influenceable. I hope that's the proper word. And we have to accept that, how important our association is. And we have to choose to seek advice from senior advanced devotees who we trust, and surrender to them and their guidance, and not seek advice from those who are going to not give us the best advice. And we know that we take advice from senior devotees, ask their guidance, and serve them. And with friends, we develop, with devotees who are on the same level of us, we develop friendship. And with devotees who are more junior to us, we give, we help them in their Krishna consciousness. You don't go to your juniors for advice or to share your problems with them. Like, honestly, like sometimes I think devotees could have that temptation, like, let me go to someone who I know is just gonna think I'm super great and be easy on me and give me, advice that will be palatable, right? Sometimes people do that, where they kind of go advice shopping. Oh, well, like one person gave me this advice. I don't really like that advice. Let me go to another person, see what advice they give me, until 5 people later, oh, your advice sounds so nice. I think I will take that advice. So that's not recommended. We should go seek advice from someone who, even if the advice is not palatable and not what we want to hear, is what's best for our Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So Narada recommended to Kamsa that what he should do is bring Krishna and Balaram to Kamsa's capital city, Mathura. And we're going to see in the following verses how Kamsa makes his plan. And he makes a super elaborate plan. And he's so convinced about it. And it's also funny because, he's already sent so many demons to Vrindavan, right? And he seems to be convinced every time that this is going to be the demon that kills Krishna and Balaram. But it never works. But then again, he's just so convinced. He has so much confidence in himself that now this is going to work. And he's like, all right, he calls Akrura. He's going to send Akrura to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. He's going to get this elephant, Kulavapitiya, Kulayapita. Yeah, I can never say it right. And he's sure the elephant will kill Krishna, but then if somehow Krishna escapes, most certainly the wrestlers will kill Krishna. And then he says, he's going to say in the following verses, and then after that, I will kill Vasudeva and Devaki. I will kill my father because he is actually my enemy. And then I will kill all of my other enemies. And then I will tag team with my BFFs, my best friends, who are all on my side, and they will support me. And then I will have no impediment and I will rule the world, and that will be very pleasant. So he has, this idea of like how wonderful life will be actually when all of my plans go correct. And I was meditating on that and I was thinking, again, like we have, again, we're not on the level of Kamsa, but isn't it in our own hearts and life, we do, at least I do, have that mentality of like, yes, we can have that mentality sometimes of like, yes, like I believe I will make this plan and this plan will work and everything will be so nice and I will be so happy when this works and everything will be so nice. But then we can see practically in our life how many times we make plans and they definitely do not work or go the way that we think they're going to go. And that can lead to frustration if we're not Krishna conscious. But I was just listening to a lecture by Keshava Maharaj yesterday. I think it was called like being confident in Krishna consciousness or something. And he was really explaining that the confidence of the devotee is the trust, actually, that Krishna's plan is perfect and that Krishna knows what's best for us. And that no matter what happens in our life, we can be happy and trust Krishna's plan because we know that he's doing what's best for us. And sometimes we might not understand it. Like someone in the audience actually asked him, well, how do we deal with like if a loved one dies or something horrible happens? How do we understand that? And he said quite frankly, that, we might not understand. But just like, what was the example that he gave? I can't remember, but basically what he was saying is we're only seeing a very small part of the picture. Like we're only seeing this one life. We haven't seen all the millions of other lifetimes and the journey that the soul has been on. And ultimately, no matter what happens to the body, the mind, even the emotions, the soul is untouched. And we have to know that we can't understand the full picture. Only Krishna can understand the full picture. We have very limited vision. The reason might be revealed to us, and it also might not be revealed to us. But if we take shelter of Krishna in the process, then it will be a very good result. So, yeah. And Vishwanath Chakravarti, he's pointing out that Narada, he's not, one could think like, gosh, why did, Narada is like really out to get Vasudeva and Devaki, why is he saying these things, which then causes Kamsa to put Vasudeva and Devaki back in iron chains? But actually, it's explained that Vasudeva was super grateful to Narada because why? He was arranging for things to happen in such a way where Krishna could come to Mathura and kill Kamsa. And Vasudeva had that faith that that would happen. And he was also arranging, it's explained actually that the killing of Aristasura is the closing of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And Narada Muni knew that. So Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan are coming to a close, and he's coming to live in Mathura, where Vasudeva, his loving father, could associate with him. So that makes Vasudeva and Devaki very happy. And we'll read later on just the joy that occurs when that reunion happens in Mathura after the Lord kills Kamsa. I personally was feeling very depressed when I was reading this, because I was like, no, we've been relishing so much like Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan and the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Like, I don't want Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan to come to a close. Like, I don't want Krishna to go to Mathura. Like, I want Krishna to stay in Vrindavan and keep having his pastimes in Vrindavan. And can we keep hearing about his pastimes in Vrindavan? And that is definitely, as we will read, how the residents of Vrindavan are going to feel, except they feel much more so than me. Yeah, so it's actually very sad that the pastimes of Vrindavan are coming to a close and the Lord is going to Mathura. But we can still relish the Lord's pastimes in Mathura, because all of the Lord's pastimes are relishable. My husband was just telling me this story a couple days ago, that one time Shiva Ram Swami and Bibi Govinda Swami were Bhakti Bringa Govinda Swami were having a conversation, and Bhakti Bringa Govinda Swami was saying to Shiva Ram Swami, who is known as really like a Rasika devotee. He's always writing about, Radha and Krishna's pastimes. And he was saying, when I listen to lectures of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is just saying, you're not the body, you're the soul, I'm just like waiting, when will Prabhupada talk about Radha and Krishna? And what Shiva Ram Swami's response was? He said, when I hear those lectures of Prabhupada, I feel great ecstasy. That we should never make the mistake of thinking, oh, I only want to hear Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, but all of Krishna's pastimes in every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam and all the philosophy is so relishable and so ecstatic, and we should take shelter of that. And we also should know that why was Prabhupada always repeating that? He was always repeating that because honestly, that's what we need to hear. Because I don't know about you all, but I have definitely not realized that I am not the body, I am the soul. Like, do I actually have that experience every moment, day to day? I need to be constantly reminded of our philosophy and the fact that we're the servant of the servant of the servants of the Lord. So we need to hear that. Okay, 5 minutes. I'm done. Thank you so much. We will now open it to questions, comments, reflections, discussions. Anyone in the temple room or, yes. Yes, please.
I wanted to say a few things about Kamsa, that he is, as you described nicely, his situation. As we know, he's always been meditating on Krishna, constantly, day and night, and seeing dreams of Krishna, but always very fearful of him. But sometimes he's like example of material existence of the soul, full of fear, but very, very hopeful. that all the plans will go over. So he's making all these plans, but some of them he's super fearful that death will come, Krishna will kill him. He sees it inevitable, but still he's like hope against hope. Prabhupada also gives stories about how people like just, they know they're gonna die, but they still don't believe it. They're still like, I will make some plan. I will make some plan. It's like difference between Asura and Demigod. Hare Krishna. You gave me one class.
Hare Krishna, wonderful class, really. It's hilarious how you were saying that we choose who we go to for advice because we know that a third-class person or third-class person will give you this kind of advice, or a first-class person will give you a different kind of advice, and that we have that option. And if we follow somebody who's third class, we become fourth class. We want to be selective about who we ask for advice. And also, it's kind of interesting how wonderful Krishna is. How wonderful is Krishna, that even the most horrendously misdirected person, Krishna controls them. It's like telling Narada Muni telling Kamsa, yeah, these guys, they're going to get you, and you better. And then he's actually manipulating Kamsa. Krishna's arranging that Kamsa, even though his whole intention is ridiculous and hellish and demoniac, he knows exactly how to control that demon, so that the demon, Prabhupada gives the analogy, the bull in the bull ring. He's waving the red cape, and the bull goes charging, and he smashes into the wooden barrier behind the cape, and the matador moves out of the way. So Krishna is so intelligent and so wonderful that he can manipulate even a misdirected demon to do something, to bring about his downfall. So Krishna, we don't have to worry. If there was a big demon, but he's totally bound up hand and foot with rope, then we're not afraid. The devotees are fearless. And there's that portion where the Aghasura demon is there, and the demigods in the clouds. You know that picture? The demigods are going, oh, they're going to go in there. Don't go in there. They're devotees, but they're demigod devotees. So they're considering, but the cowherd boys is jumping over the teeth and running down, skipping down the tongue, going into the mouth of Aghasura, completely fearless. So we want to be devotees of. We understand we have an option to be devotees of this caliber or devotees of that caliber. And Srila Prabhupada is leading us and advising, take this option, go ahead fearlessly in Krishna's service. Krishna's controlling even the most horrendously powerful. We hear somebody speaking about the conspiracy theory and all these demons, and they're doing this and they're manipulating that, and they're controlling this, but Krishna has them in the palm of his hand, and they're actually unable to touch us. We are on the spiritual platform, not cut by the sword, burnt by the fire, withered by the wind, moistened by the rain. We're completely safe, so we just go on in devotional service without fear. It says that without devotional service, you can't actually love anybody. Without devotional service, full absorption in devotional service, you'll never be fearless. But by engaging fully in Krishna's service, all the good qualities come. Anyway, just a few reflections on some of the things Srila Prabhupada told us. Well, glory to Srila Prabhupada, very nice class. You actually covered everything perfectly.
Anybody online have anything?
William Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for this class. you know, my reflection today is work on my anger issues. That's what I got. That's what I got. I know we all have different issues, but one of my main issues is the anger issues. You know, I fractured my hand last month because I couldn't control my anger, and that's Krishna saying, you know what? I wasn't gonna interfere and allow you not to fracture your hand. So you know what? I hope you learn your lesson. I mean, he didn't say that to me, but I felt like he said that to me. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Uh anyway, so yeah, anger issues. They say anger is one letter short of the word danger.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm trying to purify. We're spirit soul. I'm trying to purify myself by my association with the Bhagavatam class, friends and devotees at the Radha Sri Radha Govinda temple, the Harinam Sankirtan whenever I get a chance. Uh, uh, but good morning. Sorry. Um, yeah. So thank you so much for class. I'm gonna keep rambling on. I know myself. I'm gonna cut myself off right now. Have a good day. I mean, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, William. Bruce?
I just want to reflect on Kamsa. I've been reading and I just keep thinking, like, when is this so powerful mastermind, not really so intelligent mastermind, going to understand that none of this is working for him? So when does he try a different plan? And I just keep thinking, like, is he lacking intelligence? Like, is he stupid? Like, what is going on? Why can he not come to this point that, I need a different approach, and he just sticks the path. And I find that oftentimes in my own life that there's times where I could beat myself against the wall, still determined to get the result that just isn't going to come. And yet I still manage to persevere in a way that's not helpful to me or what I've learned to my Krishna consciousness. So it's just when you brought that up earlier, it just triggered it for me, where I'm just like, perhaps this whole idea of, one finger one way, three the other, right? So thank you for that. Thank you for class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bruce. That's why Krishna kills the demons. Everything that he does is what's best for everyone. So for demons, yeah, they just don't learn their lesson. They just keep doing the wrong thing. So Krishna's like, all right, like if you're not gonna change, then I'm gonna need to kill you. So that you can have liberation from your suffering and from these bad choices that you're making. So that's why Krishna liberates the demons. Okay, time for darshan. We have a very special darshan today. Well, we'll see.
Hari Purusha Amaha Bhajami Govinda Hari Purusha Amaha Bhajami Govinda.
Wow, what a special darshan. Krishna's garland so full of life. Okay, William Prabhu, your name is one word short of Krishna's will. So you're Krishna's William. Thank you. Okay, this was the class, dear devotees. Thanks for participating. We love you. Bhima Prabhu, you heard what William said?
Yeah, but that doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, you're beyond that. You're beyond that. Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody. See you all.